Hi Nana. We were learning question bank 3. Okay, sorry, question bank 4 related to water. Related to water. So we will continue with the eighth question. What is eighth question? Eighth question, it says that you have to state the percentage of state the percentage of dissolved nitrogen, dissolved nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. Okay, in water. Carbon dioxide gases in water. So that means how much percentage of nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide is dissolved in water with respect to air. With the with respect to air. Okay. So we have to state. So in the form of in the form of a table in tabular form. In tabular form. So what is the meaning of in tabular form? In tabular form means in the form of a table. Okay. By using rows and columns, we have to state, or else we have to explain what is the percentage of dissolved nitrogen, dissolved oxygen, and dissolved carbon dioxide in water. See, the percentage volume of oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide in air and in water will be like this. In air and in water. See, already we know the percentage of, so actually it is asked to write in the tabular form. So here, oxygen percentage in air. Okay. So what is the gas? Gas. So oxygen gas, the percentage of oxygen gas in air is 21 percentage. The percentage of nitrogen gas in air, the percentage of nitrogen gas in air is 78 percentage. Okay. The percentage of carbon dioxide gas, the percentage of carbon dioxide gas in air, the percentage of carbon dioxide gas in air is how much? It is very less percentage in air. How much? 0.03 percentage only. But in case of water, that means in water, which water? Actually, we have to mention it as boiled off water. Boiled off water. So already we have seen an experiment. So where the boiled off water uh, is obtained, and in that boiled off water we have seen different percentages of different gases. So in the boiled off water, that means a boiled off water contains oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide, and these are present in the how much amount of these gas are dissolved in the water, so that much amount of these gas are present in boiled off water only. Okay, so it is the same amount of water is present in the boiled off water. Okay, right. So here when compared to A, so the water, in water the percentage of oxygen, it will be more. It will be more when compared to A, the percentage of oxygen. So around 32, around 30 percentage to 34 percentage of oxygen is present in the water when compared to A. When compared to air, the percentage of oxygen in water is more. Okay. When compared to A, the percentage of nitrogen in water, it is less, around 69 percentage only. Sorry, around 65 percentage only. Around 65 percentage. But when compared to the carbon dioxide in air, the amount of carbon dioxide, already we learned carbon dioxide is a highly soluble gas. So what happens? The amount of carbon dioxide will be double, 0.06 percentage, because carbon dioxide is highly soluble in water. Oxygen, it is very sparingly soluble. It is soluble in little amounts only in water. Okay, remember that. So carbon dioxide is highly soluble. So when compared to the air, the percentage of carbon dioxide in water is double. Okay, right. So in this way we can discuss about the percentage of oxygen, nitrogen and carbon dioxide in water. Okay, when compared to dissolved, I mean these are in dissolved form. So when compared to the air, right. So now let us learn the ninth answer, ninth question. What is ninth question? What does this ninth question says? See, ninth question says, in ninth question there are two sub questions. So sub question A, okay, sub question A says that a small piece of freshly cut sodium metal, a small piece of freshly cut sodium metal, okay, freshly cut sodium metal is dropped in a trough of water, is dropped in a trough of water. Okay, in a trough of water. So describe your observation. Describe your observation. That means we have to explain what does we observe. So what does we observe? So we have to explain what we observe when a small piece of freshly cut sodium metal is dropped in water. See, for example, I have taken a trough. So in this trough, so there are water. There is water, some water in this trough. So what is this one? This is water. So into this water, I have dropped a small piece of sodium, which is freshly cut. Okay, I have taken a small, I have taken sodium metal and I have cut that material, sodium metal freshly, and I have dropped that sodium metal piece into the water. What happens? So if I drop sodium metal into that water, so it won't sink. It does not sink to the bottom. It remains floating on the surface of the water. Okay, so it remains floating on the surface of water. So what happens? Here sodium will react with water. Sodium will react with water fastly. So when sodium reacts with water, it liberates a hydrogen gas. By releasing hydrogen gas, sodium will react with water and forms a sodium hydroxide. It forms a sodium hydroxide. So this reaction takes place and hydrogen gas is released. So the area where this metal comes into contact with water, so at that place what happened, you will find a formation of bubbles of hydrogen. So hydrogen gas is liberated at that place. Now this hydrogen gas, it is liberated fastly, very fastly. What happens? This as it is liberated very fastly, it will push the sodium metal upward. So that what happens? The sodium metal will jump from here to here, and here also hydrogen gas is liberated, and from here again it jump to some other place. Okay, and there also again it jumps to some other place. So that means it keep on jumping. So that sodium metal will keep on jumping from one place to another place. One thing we have to remember that, so while undergoing this reaction, some amount of heat is liberated. Heat is liberated. Hydrogen gas is liberated and heat is liberated. So due to that heat, what happens? This sodium metal will melt and it forms a silvery ball. It forms a silvery ball, a silver color ball. It turns into a silver, it melts. The sodium metal will melt and form a round spherical structure, silvery ball, and it keeps on moving. It keeps on jumping from one place to another place. It will jump from here to here and from here to here, or here to here, like this. So it keep on jumping on the surface of water. So that movement is said to be darting. Dart, or else dart. The silvery ball will dart. Dart means jump from one place to another place. Darting ball, or else simply dart. That means that ball, that silvery ball, okay, it will dart from one place to another place. See, this hydrogen gas which is liberated here, as it is warm, as it is also releasing some amount of heat, it is an exothermic reaction. That means heat is released along with this one. So due to that heat, what happens? This hydrogen gas, in the presence of heat, it will burn. It will burn and produce golden yellow flame. Golden yellow flame is produced by sodium metal. Okay, so remember that always sodium metal when burning, okay, it produces sodium, it produces golden yellow flame. That means here also the sodium metal, it is melting, okay, and when it is kept in water, some reactions are taking place, and that sodium metal, it is burning and it is producing flame. Okay, that flame, the color of the flame is golden yellow flame. Okay, right. So that means that ball will dart from over the surface of water. The ball will dart, the silvery grey colored ball, the silvery ball, it will dart from one place to another place, okay, on the surface of water. So giving tiny bubbles of hydrogen gas. So here also tiny bubbles of hydrogen gas is formed. Here also everywhere, due to the contact of this sodium metal with water, wherever the sodium metal is in contact with water, what happened there? The hydrogen gas is liberated. Bubbles of hydrogen gas are formed, and this hydrogen gas bubbles, it will push the metal upward. So due to this one, what happened? This hydrogen gas is liberated fastly. As it is liberated fastly, so it will push the metal upward. So this metal will jump from here, and it will move to some other place. So from here to here, and from here to here, and from here to here, or else from here to here, or from here to here, like this. So it keep on jumping on the surface of the water. So that jumping movement is said to be dart, or else darting. So what happens as a result of, because during this process sodium metal it is participating in the chemical reaction. So as it is participating in the chemical reaction, the amount of sodium, it keeps on decreasing. The amount of sodium keeps on decreasing. So what happens? The sodium metal, it gets a decrease in size. Slowly, initially if it is this much size, after some time what happens? The size decreases, and still size decreases, and finally what happens? The sodium metal will disappear. Finally the sodium metal will disappear because it keeps on reacting with water, and during that process it is used up continuously, and finally all the sodium metal is used up in the reaction with water. Okay, and finally and during that process what is forming? Hydrogen gas is forming, and finally what is left over? So this hydrogen gas will escape into the atmosphere. The hydrogen gas will escape into the atmosphere, and finally the solution, the entire water solution, will turn into sodium hydroxide solution. Now, before that, before sodium metal is kept, before sodium metal is dropped into this one, so it was only water. It was water only. But when sodium metal is dropped into this water, so reaction takes place between the sodium metal and water, and finally the sodium, this substance is formed. Which substance? Sodium hydroxide, NaOH is formed. So now this solution will contain sodium hydroxide in it. Hence the solution, it turns alkali. It will become alkali. What is alkali? Alkali means when a base is dissolved in water, then it is said to be alkali. Water soluble base is said to be alkali. So now the solution is alkali. So like this. Finally, what happened? The sodium metal which I have dropped, it has disappeared. So before disappearing, what is happened? It is reacting with water. It is showing darting movement. It produces a golden yellow flame. It releases hydrogen gas. So and all these things have happened. Okay, right? So like this. So these are the observation we can see when sodium metal is dropped into water. Okay. Now there is another question. In this, there is another question. What is that? Question B. Write a chemical equation for the reaction between sodium and water. Write a chemical equation. Write a chemical equation for the reaction between sodium and water. For the reaction between sodium and water. Sodium and water. So here this is the reaction. Once again I am writing the reaction. Sodium, when reacted with the water, sodium metal, so what happens? It forms the sodium hydroxide, okay, and liberates hydrogen gas and releases hydrogen gas. So upon balancing, we'll get so like this: two sodium atoms, two water molecules, okay, two sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas is liberated. So for this B answer, for this B question, so this is the answer. Next, one more question is there. So in that ninth question, there is another one. What will you observe when neutral litmus solution is added to the solution obtained in A? So here in the question A, what solution we got? We got alkali solution. So what is that solution? Sodium hydroxide. Aqueous solution of sodium hydroxide. That means water solution of sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is formed during the reaction between this one. So this sodium hydroxide is soluble in water. It is dissolved in water. Now this solution is said to be aqueous solution of sodium hydroxide. Aqueous solution of sodium hydroxide, and it is alkaline in nature. That means it is basic in nature. So into this solution, now if you add neutral litmus solution, if you add neutral litmus solution, what happens? See, neutral litmus solution actually it is colorless. It is a colorless. That means it does not contain any color. Like water, it appears like water. So that means it is colorless liquid. So upon addition of this neutral litmus solution into this water, what happens? So it finally here the neutral litmus solution turns to blue color. So upon addition to water, what happens? That solution will convert into blue color. Okay, so what is happening here? The actually initially it is colorless, and this one will it will turn to blue color. Neutral litmus solution, it will turn to blue color. It is because the solution contains what? The solution contains alkali, that means sodium hydroxide. Okay, so which is an alkali? Sodium hydroxide is an alkali. So generally an alkali, any substance if it is an alkali, it contains OH minus ions. What ions? OH minus ions are present. Okay, remember that when OH minus are present, so if you add neutral litmus, solution to the OH minus ions, what happens? So this OH minus ions will turn neutral litmus solution from colorless to blue color. So that means this neutral litmus solution, it will turn into blue color. It will turn into blue color when it reacts with OH minus ions. Because here in this solution, due to the presence of sodium hydroxide, NaOH, as it is an alkali, so generally any alkali solution, it contains OH minus ions. So these OH minus ions, what happens? It will react with a neutral alkali solution. This is neutral alkali solution which is colorless. If you add this one into this alkali neutral litmus solution, when it is added into this alkali, as this alkali is having what? OH minus ions. They contain what? OH minus ions. So those OH minus ions, they react with a neutral litmus solution and convert this neutral litmus solution from colorless to blue color. So this observation we will find. So what is the question C? So I'll write the question C here. So question C. So ninth one, question C. What will you observe? What will you observe when neutral litmus solution okay, what will you observe when neutral litmus solution is added to the solution okay, obtained okay in A means, so this is C, this is B, and A already just I have erased that A, I have removed that A. So A is that question, first question. In first question, so some solution is formed. Okay, so into that solution, if you add a neutral litmus solution, so what will you observe? So that is the thing. So and give the reason for your observation and give the reason for your observation. So what do you observe here? Actually? Okay, what do you observe here? That this neutral litmus solution is it is converted, it is turned to blue. So that we have observed. So what did you observe? What will you observe? The neutral litmus solution is turned to blue, and we have to give the reason. What is the reason for this one? Because the reason is here this particular solution is an alkali solution. Okay, because it contains sodium hydroxide. As it is alkali solution, so it contains OH minus ions. Okay, and these OH minus ions, when OH minus ions react with the neutral litmus solution, so what happens? So this neutral litmus solution will convert into blue color. So that is the reason. So give the reason means, So because of the presence of OH minus ions in this solution, because of the presence of OH minus ions, so those OH minus ions will react with the neutral litmus solution, and hence the neutral litmus solution will convert into blue color. So that is the reason. Okay, so in this way, the ninth question can be explained. So this ninth question contains three sub questions. So all these three sub questions we have discussed now. Okay, now we'll learn another question. So we will learn some other question. What is it? We learn some small question, short question. Example. So we'll see 12th question now. So we will learn 10th and 11th in the next video. So for time being, we will learn 12th question because the video is somewhat. The 10th question is somewhat lengthy. Okay, so it needs more explanation. Okay, hence we will learn 12th answer now. In the next video, we will learn 10th and 11th. Okay, right. So 12th question. What is 12th question? State three characteristics of a true solution. Of a true solution. See, for this we need some basic, some additional information we should need. So solutions can be classified into three types. Basically, solutions can be classified into three types. One is true solutions. Okay, another one is colloidal solutions. And the third one is suspensions. True solutions are the solutions which are very in these solutions, the size of the solute particles is very, very small. We cannot see those solute particles with our naked eye. For example, if you dissolve sugar in water, can you see the sugar after complete dissolution of sugar in water? Can we see the sugar particles? No, we cannot see the sugar particles, because sugar particles are they will break down into very tiny particles. Okay, after dissolution in water, they will break down into very tiny particles, and they will occupy the spaces between the water molecules, and hence we cannot see. So suppose this is the water. If this is the water, so here in this water, these are the water molecules. Let us imagine. Let us imagine these are the water molecules. So here, if you add sugar into this one, so this is the sugar particle. Sugar particle will break down into small particles upon addition into water. So what happens? The sugar particles, all the sugar particles will get separated from the sugar. From the surface of the sugar particles will get separated. Due to this, sugar particles are separated from this one. So gradually what happens? The size of the sugar decreases. The size of the sugar particle decreases. Okay, and all the particles of sugar, they have entered into water now. So this surrounding thing is water. So all the sugar particles have entered into the water. And finally what happens? So even this one is also, finally it is disappeared, and now this entire thing, it is having only very tiny particles of sugar dissolved in water. So if these are the water molecules, then the tiny particles of sugar, they have entered into the gaps of water. So like this, a true solution is formed. In a true solution, what happens? The solute particles, These are said to be solute particles. The sugar is said to be solute, and water is what? Water. Here this is water. Water is solvent. Water is solvent. So all the solute particles will occupy the gaps between the water. Now what happens? So if you see this solution, it will be very clear and transparent. The true solution is always it is a clear and transparent. Clear and transparent solution. Okay. See, these particles, they are broken down into very tiny particles. So these particles are of molecular size. Molecular size particles. As they are molecular size particles, we cannot see the molecules. We cannot see the molecules. Even in the microscope also we cannot see the molecules. So because in true solution, what happens? The substance, the solute will become into very tiny particles. Okay, molecular size particles. Okay, and hence we cannot see them under even microscope also we cannot see them. So that means the second characteristics of true solution we can write like this. Particles of true solution break down to, so these particles, so these are the particles, they will break down, finally they will break down into very tiny particles. The large size particle is broken down slowly and finally it will disappear, and instead of large size particle we will get only very small size particles, and these particles they will occupy the gaps between the water molecules. So that means the particles of true solution, okay, break down to down to molecular size. Break down to molecular size, because molecular size particles we cannot see, and hence cannot be seen under microscope, and cannot be seen under microscope. Under microscope we cannot see. These particles cannot be visible. Even water molecules also we cannot see properly under microscope. Then the solute particles, these solute particles, the sugar particles are very tiny, and they will occupy the gaps between the water molecules. As these are very less, their size is molecular size, we cannot see them even under microscope. Okay. Next, the true solution can be easily passed through the filter paper. Suppose now this sugar solution is formed. Now this sugar solution, if I try to filter this sugar solution, so suppose this is a filter paper. This is a filter paper, and I have poured this sugar solution into this filter paper. So what happens? The sugar solution will pass through this filter paper. Okay, that means the true solution can easily pass through the filter paper. The true solution. So what is the third point? I can write the third point like this. Okay, third point. The true solution can easily pass through the filter paper. Okay, that means the true solution can easily pass through the filter paper. If you see colloidal solution means, example, if you just take a piece of chalk, you just make it into powder and you add into this water. If you add a piece of piece of chalk or else anything, So what happens? A colloidal solution is such solution where the size of the particles of colloidal solution are more. Their size is more when compared to the size of the true solution. So size, if you see, size of particles in true solution, the size of particles in true solution is less when compared to the size of the particles in colloidal solutions. Okay, that means in colloidal solution the particle size is somewhat less, somewhat more. The size of the particles, this is size of the particle. So the size of the particle will be more when compared to the the size of the particle of colloidal particles is more. So sometimes they cannot enter into the gaps between the, so these particles, they cannot enter into the gaps between the water. So here these are the water molecules, and these are the colloidal particles. So these colloidal particles, sometimes they cannot enter into the gaps because of their large size. They cannot enter into the gaps. So that is why what happens, sometimes we can easily observe, the colloidal particles as it, we can see colloidal particles, but in true solutions we cannot see the particles because of their small size. But there are some colloidal solutions where the particles somewhat they are somewhat not that much large, they are somewhat small, and they can enter into the gaps, but still they are larger in size. But in case of true solutions, the particles are very small in size. So true solutions, colloidal solutions. Okay, so in some colloidal solution, the size of the particles is somewhat large, so that they cannot enter into the gaps. Okay, like this, the size of the colloidal will be. And when compared to size of the colloidal particles, size of the suspensions is larger. Suspension is also one type of solution where the particles are larger in size. Size of particles are larger in case of suspensions. Okay, so like this we can discuss about the 12th question. Okay, so once again we will see the three characteristics of true solutions. So one is, in true solutions are clear and transparent. So the particles of true solution break down into molecular size. Okay, as they are broken down into molecular size, hence we cannot see under microscope. That means the particles of true solution cannot be visible under microscope. And the third one is, the true solution can easily pass through the filter paper. So even this also we have seen. Okay, so like this we can learn this one. Okay, right.